Welcome back to Million Dollar Lightworker. I'm Joeaux Robey, creator of the Million Dollar Lightworker program. And if you know me, you know my mission is to help 100 lightworkers scale their business to 7 figures so that they can make a massive impact on this planet. Because I really believe that that's what we need right now. And we're already 10% of the way there. So if you've been hearing the nudge, keep listening. Now, today's guest is like strapping a booster to your brilliance. Kimberly Crowe is the founder of Entrepreneur's Rocket Fuel. She's all about helping heart-centered speakers, coaches, and lightworkers launch themselves with soul, strategy, and a whole lot of spark. In other words, she wants to put you on stage. She's a TEDx speaker, a best-selling author, and the kind of person who says, "You've got a message? Great, let's get it out there." So whether you're still finding your voice or you're ready to claim your stage, Kimberly's got wisdom that is going to light your path up. So grab your coffee or your tea or whatever, your pen, and maybe even a sparkly notebook, because you know how we love those sparkles. And let's dive in. Oh, there's Kimberly now. Hang on. Hey, Kimberly, it's so nice to see you.
July, great to see you as well.
Thank you for, a last minute yes of jumping on a podcast. I love that about you.
This will be so much fun.
Well, and that's your motto, right? We talked about that earlier. If it's not fun, you're not doing it, right?
If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. I agree.
That is absolutely true. Well, Kimberly, I just want to get the most out of our little bit of time here and jump right in, because I think that what you do can be so helpful to our audience. And I know that you've built like a whole rocket ship called Entrepreneur's Rocket Fuel, which I love. And I absolutely love that name too. And for our light workers out there who feel like they're, quote unquote, not ready to be seen, because I'm sure you deal with this a lot, what's your first piece of guidance when it comes to like actually stepping into visibility with soul?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially light workers, since they're so heart-centered and they're really ready to make a difference in the world and they want to change lives and they want to help people, that's awesome. But they often feel like they're not ready yet. Like they have that, I just need to do this first, or as soon as this happens, then I'll be ready. And I think that really the people who we are watching now that have success out there in the world are the people who just started, like just launch and then fine tune along the way. And I think that for light workers and coaches and heart-centered entrepreneurs, the tendency is to want to be perfect first, to have all the answers before they launch, because they're watching people who are already successful and thinking that's where they started. But that's not really where people start. People start, sort of in the weeds, figuring it out. And then along the way, they get known, but then that's because they've already been out there and working and doing it for several years, sometimes decades, before they get recognized. So I think the waiting to start, the waiting to be ready, the waiting to feel like they've got it all together or that their ducks are all in a row is really the mistake that they make. And I say, as long as my ducks are kind of in a huddle, I feel pretty good about myself. It doesn't have to be that they're in a line.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I am one of those people that was terrified of public speaking. I mean, terrified. In fact, as late as in my 40s, I turned down a really big job promotion because I was actually going to have to talk in front of 200 people every month. And I just said, forget it, And then I ended up down this other path working with these spiritual influencers. And after a couple of years, Kimberly, they kept coming to me and handing me the microphone. I was like, no, I don't want to be on stage, And I would even literally I would say, okay, I'll do it, but then I would disappear. Like I'd run to the bathroom and I'd be throwing up in the bathroom. I was like even emotionally a wreck around it. But what I found was just little by little, a couple minutes, 3 minutes on stage, and then 5 minutes, and then 30, and then, eventually all day on stage. It really, exactly like you said, you just have to be willing to step out there and know that everybody started there at some point. I mean, I know like on your bio, on your website, you talk about being a corporate trainer. Did you ever have that fear?
So first of all, let me acknowledge that your fear is completely common. It's completely legitimate. And that the things that you describe could be very common with the people that are listening to this today. Like, oh, sure, it's easy for Kimberly and Joy to be able to get on stage and talk all day, but that's not me. I can't do that, right? Like I'm not ready to do that. And I just want to acknowledge that fear is so real for so many people. So I don't want you to think that I'm going to tell you, oh, just buck up and do it anyway and you'll be fine. Although I will tell you that after you get off the stage the first time and you realize that you are still alive, that you didn't die from that you didn't collapse in, a puddle, and that your amygdala is kicking in like, okay, that wasn't as death-defying as I thought it was going to be, the second and third and fourth time and forever after progressively do get easier. But what you're describing is very real. In surveys, they've polled people, and the fear of death is less fearful than the fear of public speaking, which technically means that they'd rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy. And so I think that, a fear of speaking is very, very real. So let me first acknowledge that. And then I will tell you that fortunately for me, if you ask my family, they will say she came out of the womb sharing her opinion and she never stopped, right? Like I have always really enjoyed being on stage, the limelight. And, much to the chagrin of many of my teachers and even my parents, they were like, okay, you don't always have to be in the spotlight, right? But it's something that came more naturally to me than it does for others. So I want to acknowledge that is not the case for everyone. But at the same time, what you're describing, being able to get on stage and then realizing that it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be, and then gradually doing more and more, even whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, an ambivert, no matter how you register yourself or self-identify, that is something that can be a very powerful experience for you.
It's funny that you talk about extroverts and introverts, because that was my next question was, do you consider yourself an extrovert? Because I know, I, even though people find this hard to believe, I'm actually really an introvert. And going on stage is something that I thought had to do with being an extrovert or an introvert. But like you just said, it's really not about that at all, is it?
It's not. In fact, introverts and extroverts both do very well on stage, in my experience. It's just that afterwards, the extrovert or the introvert wants to go to a sort of a nice, quiet room and recharge their batteries and not be in front of the crowd anymore. And extroverts want to go to a cast party and talk about how great they were. But on stage, they can be equally powerful and really, really change lives with their message.
Yeah, so hopefully that empowers the people out there who do consider themselves introverts, that, it really has nothing to do with that. And I'm here to tell you that is true. Although I do like to step off stage and go sit by myself for a little bit afterwards.
So just to recharge, that's true. Absolutely. And introverts and extroverts have different qualities that they can leverage. Introverts are really good at having deep conversations with one or two, with one-on-one, with 5 or 6 or 7 people a day. And extroverts like to talk to 30 or 40 people like in a large group or something, but they don't like it. Actually exhausts us to have those one-on-one conversations and get really deep with more than 1 or 2 people. We want to talk to everybody and sort of as a group, but then have one-on-one conversations with very few people. And it's kind of the reverse in my experience for extroverts.
Well, and you do a lot virtually. And I've mostly done virtually. I've done a lot of live, but like since COVID, our studio does a lot of things virtually. And that's a completely different experience too, right? Because I have a business partner that she's an extrovert and she just feeds off the energy of an audience. And she really struggled with, being on Zoom and doing things virtually.
Yeah, I totally get that. And it was definitely a shift. Fortunately for me, I was actually operating on Zoom doing summits in 2017. So 3 years before even COVID was a thing. And then when COVID hit, one of my dear friends who did all in-person events, and I hadn't done many in-person events, we had made an agreement in January of that year, right before COVID. I said, well, if you teach me to do in-person, I will teach you to do virtual. And she was like, sign me up. And then COVID hit and she's like, remember that thing you said about teaching me to do virtual? Let's do that now. And so we actually launched several summits for her. And then it was probably a year later that we launched an in-person event and brought a whole bunch of people masked up into a room 6 feet apart and everything like that. And it was a very, very powerful experience to do both.
Wow. Yeah. COVID changed so many things and COVID introduced us to so many things. So yeah. Kimberly, what are you most proud of? When you look back at your journey from recruiting in corporate, which is what I think your background was, to becoming a speaker, a teacher, and like quite literally a movement leader. Like what made you go, yep, that's why I do this?
Well, that's a long story, but I did what probably your audience did. I did what they told me to do. I went to school, I went to college, I graduated, I got a good job with health insurance. And then I started climbing the corporate ladder and I climbed it for about 17 years. And honestly, the first 15 were pretty good. I really enjoyed working for that corporation and doing what I did for about 15 years. And then as I became an executive director at this Fortune 1000 company, I looked around at the people who were at my level and beyond, and they were all unhappy. They were miserable. They were on their fourth or fifth marriage. They were overweight, having heart attacks and diabetes and kind of mean to their employees. And I thought, man, I don't want to grow up and be any of you people. And that was a moment where I realized I was in what they call golden handcuffs, where you're making so much money and you've risen to at my level, it was, for me, it felt like the top. And it didn't make sense to quit, but I didn't love it. I was really unhappy. I remember being at my desk at 10 o'clock at night and my kids were, they were in middle school and they were already in bed by the time I was getting home. And I thought, I don't want to do this. This isn't the life I want. And I certainly don't want the next generation of this. And it took me about 2 years to successfully quit. My boss and my boss's boss kept trying to put me in new positions that I might enjoy more. And they were very kind to me, but eventually I was like, no, we need to part as friends before this goes really bad. And for any of you who have been in that position, it's not fun. And my spouse at the time was not excited that I was quitting a very lucrative job. And I did. Eventually I did resign and I decided that I would be an entrepreneur and create a business. And I think, like many of your listeners as light workers, we thought, okay, I'm going to create a business that's going to make $1 million. Like that was my goal. And I decided to create a business around what I was good at, what I was already doing in corporate, which was technical staffing for high-end engineers and programmers and professionals. And I did. I launched a business and in 18 months, I had cracked the $1 million mark in revenue, which is not the same as $1 million in your pocket.
That's right.
And I was really unhappy. And I thought, just because I'm good at this doesn't mean I should be doing it for the rest of my life. And I had been trapped in this. And I thought, I'm no longer in golden handcuffs. I'm now in a golden jail cell that I built myself because I now had contracts and employees. And you know that, Joy, like it's not joyous, right? It's not fun to be in the middle of that. And I've really hit sort of a downturn, like a low-grade depression. Like, I don't know what to do next. And it was my son that brought me out of it. And he was struggling one summer and said, Mom, I don't know what I'm going to do this summer. I don't want to go back to summer camp because I'm 15 and a half and I'm smarter than all the camp counselors. And I didn't get a summer job because you have to be 16 to get a summer job. So I said, well, you know what? Let's create a business. Let's start a business together around something you just love doing. That would be fun for you. And so we did. We launched a business that was how to create audiobooks and narrate audiobooks and do voiceover. And we had so much fun narrating and auditioning and getting new books. And we went gangbusters, and we had so much fun that we had more business than we could handle. And we decided that we would teach a class to other people on how to do this so that we could offload some of the work. And we did. And we were having so much fun with that. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to feel. This is what it's supposed to feel like. That it's not supposed to be a drag. It's not just something you're good at. It's something you love doing. And recently I ran across a quote that is, do not ask what the world needs you to do. Ask what lights you up. Because what this world needs are more people who are lit up. And I thought, this is the answer to everything. And so that's really how I found my joy, how I found what is fun, how I found what I'm supposed to do here is just basically stay in the joy, stay in the fun. And as long as you do that, then the rest will fall into place. And I know that's hard to believe at the beginning, but it was true for me.
There is so much I love about what you said. I mean, that's how I found my husband. I got remarried again for the second time last year. And it was after dating for a little while. And I thought, I don't really need to be with anybody. Like, I'm good,
Yeah.
And I said out loud, I just want to have fun. And along came my husband like 2 weeks later. I mean, he is the director of our studio. He's the one that had the clapboard earlier that you saw. But I think that applies to so many situations, and especially in work, because we spend so much time doing our work. And the other thing I love about what you said is you did it with your son. So yeah. I've been doing this for a decade and a half in the spiritual industry, and I absolutely love it. And my kids, I think now they are, young adults. It sounds like yours are
right.
too. And they're like raising their family, and they're in pretty, big corporate jobs, and they're looking at me going, Mom, I don't remember, how did you make the switch? Like all of a sudden I got here, but it took some doing. But the main thing was really stepping into something that I loved doing, because, when you start a business, you end up you either have to have money or time to put into it to get it up and running. Right. And so you really do need to love what you're doing so that you're not thinking of it as work at all.
Well, they do say, do what you would do if you didn't work and you get paid. Like, what can you do that you would do anyway, even if you weren't getting paid? And a lot of people stop at that and they think, well, I love to sit on the couch and watch TV. Like, how can I get paid to do that? and while I get that there's sort of a disparate logic to that, it has been true for me, and it has been true for you. And there are people out there doing it. And if you can find something that you just really love doing, there are people out there who will pay you to do it because they don't want to. I'll give you a ridiculous example. Like, do you like emptying the dishwasher?
I'm actually a Virgo, and I like ironing and emptying the dishwasher.
I love it. I love it. And I don't meet very many people who do. I love emptying the dishwasher. And it's sort of like, we should be the ones to do it, right? Because we're the ones who love it. And there are people out there who can't stand it. They're like, those dishes can stay in there for weeks. And we're like, no, it's way more fun to put it away and like see everything in its little place. And, I love that. And so I think, the people who love doing it should be the ones doing it, right? And I think there's something for everybody. And there's people who love numbers and people who hate numbers, right? There are people, and there are people who like arguing a cause and people who don't want to get into arguments at all, right? And there are people who love getting on the stage and people who don't love getting on the stage. Now, for that one, I would encourage you to take a step forward, See if you don't die from it. Nobody has ever died on my stage. We're not starting today. And I think that when you feel a little bit more confident, then you can do that a little bit more and have actual fun doing it. But sometimes you just need to do the things you really love doing.
And you have helped, I don't know, maybe thousands, but definitely hundreds of entrepreneurs with your program get on those stages, get on podcasts and summits. And what shifts, Kimberly, when someone finally shares their voice out loud to an audience? You must witness that all the time.
I do. And I've had the privilege of creating stages that have put more than 2,000 speakers up on stage, virtually and in person. And the shift that happens when they come off and they are lit up and they're like, that was so great. That was so easy. I was so terrified. I thought you were going to ask me questions that I didn't know the answer to. I really didn't know what to expect. I'm so relieved. It was so much fun. And I think that if we can create more experiences like that for people where they have a good time sharing their knowledge and their expertise with an audience and letting them know that if they hold back, if they wait until everything's perfect, if they wait until they have their ducks in a row, then there are people in the world that are not getting the value that they have, that are not able to make the shift that they need to make because the person didn't get up and share.
Right.
And I think that if we can think of it in terms of when I get on stage, it is not for me. It is for the people I'm out there to help. That can bring the heart-centered entrepreneurs forward, get them on stage and get them realizing that it's about helping others. And it's not, they're staring at me, they're judging me, they're going to say I'm terrible. The people that show up to see them in the room are not hoping, the people who came here are not hoping that Joy and Kimberly have a disaster, right? They're hoping that they can learn something, that they can glean something. And if we make a mistake along the way, they're just going to glide right on by that. Or if they criticize, that's fine, but they're getting something out of it. Most audiences are there to support you because they want to learn something.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, something that you share, I know that your audience, your market is speakers and a wide variety of different types of speakers. But when we talked earlier, Kimberly, you shared with me that you're a light worker too. You're just like the rest of my community.
I am.
Right?
I am. I channel, I get messages. I do what they call automatic writing, where I journal as I'm in meditation. And yes, I am a light worker myself.
I love that. So that brings up, I always like to have this discussion with entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurial light workers, about money and meaning.
Yeah.
So many in the spiritual community, as you know, feel really weird about charging for their gifts. And I created the Million Dollar Lightworker program specifically to flip that mindset. What's your take on why it's not only okay, but necessary to charge well for your work?
Yeah, well, the obvious one is if you don't charge for it, then the external pressures in your life are probably going to suggest, kindly or not kindly, that you need to do something else to earn a living. And if you are not independently wealthy, if you are not just able to do this for free for the world, then you may have to stop doing it. And then who misses out from that? So that's the first one and the most obvious for folks that are struggling. The next one, and it's easier said than done, money is energy.
Right.
And we're just transferring energy. And it's not something that's dirty or wrong. If you're feeling that it's dirty or wrong, or money doesn't grow on trees, or this one is very common. I have to work hard in order to get money. That one is so common out there. And when you're doing light work and you think, oh, this isn't hard work, it's easy for me. It's the same thing as emptying a dishwasher for Joy and me, right? Like we love doing it. It's not hard, but that doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't consider it valuable. Right. And making changes in other people's lives through our light work is valuable. And if you think of the people who are doing it for a living that are doing it very well, one of my favorite humans on this planet is Esther Hicks, who channeled Abraham. And I've been to her workshops, and her workshops are $197 to attend. or her tapes are out there for purchase, or her journals are out there for purchase. And it's not that she's not already independently wealthy. She and Jerry made a ton of money in other aspects, but she does charge for it. And people who pay attention. And I think that they see the value in it when they know that they have to pay to access this amazingness from Esther.
Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, making $1 million doesn't mean that it's in your personal checking account. I mean, it takes money to do these businesses. It takes money to make money, and it takes money to have a huge impact in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, I personally have a staff that's in the Philippines that work for me, that do an amazing amount of work and take that off my plate so that I can focus on what I do. But many people in your audience may be solopreneurs. Nothing wrong with that. But the work that you perform, if you're doing it all yourself, you are still paying for telephone bills. You are still paying for Zoom accounts. You're still paying for your computer and to keep the lights on in your house. You need to be able to cover those expenses as a worker. It's not a light freer. We are light workers. Right? We actually perform work for other people. And when we do that, we deserve, rightfully so, to be compensated fairly for that.
Right. And not to mention, we have to pay the government too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Kimberly, I know you're always cooking up something new. I can tell on your website. What are you super excited about right now in your business or in your movement, or even just, your life behind the scenes?
So we have several programs that we have that are always running. Of course, Speakers Playhouse is a free, great place to start, to find stages, to find speaking opportunities. And it's not just a website where you go and find them. It's a networking event that happens every Thursday from 10:30 a.m. to noon Pacific. Convert to your time zone. And it is every Thursday live with us. And we bring to the stage speakers, and we bring to the stage show hosts. And the show hosts announce what kinds of guests they're looking for to be on their show. They could be a podcast, it could be a summit, it could be a real live in-person stage, it could be a TV show, or a Facebook Live experience like this. There are a lot of opportunities that are out there, and there are always new stages looking for speakers. So that's one that they could start with. And then we have a program called Podapalooza. If you're looking to get on a whole bunch of podcasts and meet a whole bunch of podcasters all at once, Podapalooza is a fun event. We have it several times a year, and it's one day. And we teach about how to make money by getting on podcasts and how to monetize from it, how to grow your authority, your visibility, your program, and how to make money as an entrepreneur or light worker. So we would love to have you come and join us for that. And during the event, our VIPs actually get interviewed by our podcasters that are featured. So you can walk away from that event having been interviewed on up to 5 podcasts in a single day. Not booked, but actually completed in a single day. So that's super fun. And then we also have the Influencers Cruise, which happens once a year. As we're recording this, the next one that's happening is going out of Los Angeles. We spend 7 nights on a cruise ship, and you actually speak on the cruise ship and become an international speaker. So if you're looking to get more visibility and more profitability by getting on stages, I would love to connect with you. Come join us at Speakers Playhouse and see what we got for you.
Okay, so now, before we sign off, I want to address the people out there that are listening to us, listening to you, excited. They want to do this, but they stop themselves because of fear. The fear of, like we talked about earlier, judgment, failure, looking silly. What would be your go-to wisdom if someone is just stuck there going, but what if? What if this happened, or what if that happened? Like, what would you say to them to help them actually step on the stage?
Great question. So what you were talking about in the very beginning is nerves, right? The nerves that made you run to the restroom and literally throw up, and the nerves that made you terrified to get in front of that microphone. And when a coach will say, "Oh, just get over yourself," or whatever, That's impossible for you to do because you are really feeling the real feels in your body. Maybe your stomach is doing flip-flops. Maybe your breathing changes. Maybe your throat feels like it's closing up. Maybe your ears are ringing. Your head is spinning. Those are real feelings. So how can you ignore the reality of that? And what I would suggest is a little mindset twist. And while those feelings are absolutely real and absolutely happening, and you are associating that with being nervous to get on a stage, I will share with you that those real feelings that are happening are the same feelings of when you're excited about something. Your stomach may be doing flip flops. Your breathing may change. Your throat may close out. Your ears may be ringing. Your head may be spinning. If you're excited about something, think about the last time you were excited to go on a roller coaster, if you like roller coasters, or the last time you were excited to launch a program, if you love that. That excitement makes those feelings, those real things that are happening in your nervous system actually kick in. Your brain doesn't know the difference between nervousness and excitement. So the next time you say, I'm so nervous to get on stage, try saying to yourself, I'm so excited to be on stage. I'm so excited to get on stage. I'm so excited to share what I have to share today. And all of those feelings will feel completely natural for excitement instead of fear or nervousness. So that's my suggestion to you. And I noticed after I started teaching that to people, that the people would share with me, Kimberly, is that why you always say, hey, everybody, I'm super excited to be here today? And I thought, it probably is. And I do say that whenever I get on stage, I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. And it's funny, but that is true. I do say that. And it is maybe a message to my brain that I'm giving it like, it's okay. It's safe. It's exciting to be here.
Well, Kimberly, I am super excited to have this conversation with you. This has been really fun. And go ahead.
I'm excited to be here with you too, Joy.
And I'm grateful for you showing our listeners that visibility doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be salesy. It can actually be soulful. And of course, both of our favorites, fun. And yes, even profitable.
Definitely. I think that it is a great way to share your know, like, and trust. And if you're really, really, really terrified about getting on a real in-person stage, stepping up to the mic, and you're afraid you're going to run to the restroom and go throw up, my suggestion to you is start with podcasts, because podcasts are an opportunity just to have a conversation with one person where nobody else is listening. It's just you and one other person having a nice little chat. And later that will be released for other people to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's fun, right? It's fun to like we're doing here right now, just talking one-on-one. It's absolutely fun. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly, for this time together. I think we should do this again.
I love it. I would love to.
All right. Well, have a great day, great rest of your week. And I will definitely be checking out Potapalooza. And until then, thank you, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Now, to all our light workers tuning in, if you felt your heartbeat faster during this conversation, that little yes inside you, pay attention. It's only going to get louder. And my mission, remember, is to elevate 100 light workers to $1 million impact. And if you're thinking, maybe I'm one of them, talk. You can sign up for a discovery conversation on my website at soulopreneur.com. That's SOULO, soulopreneur.com/discovery. And I'm sure the link is somewhere around here. I just want to thank Kimberly again for reminding us that our voice is the rocket fuel for our mission. And she is just such a gift, isn't she? And everyone listen, like she said, go shine. The world needs you. Namaste.
All right. I want to go back. Do we know where the link is going to be? It is not you who is very precise, who is a CEO to say, and the link's probably around here somewhere.
Okay. Well, you can drop it into the video.
Okay, so I'll put it in the video.
I'll say it's right there.
Let's have a plan for it so that you can do it very precisely.
Okay, I like that a lot.
Okay.
I don't
So-
usually get that option, so that's great. I'm just going to go, and the link is right here,
Yeah, it's
right there.
right there on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't be any easier.
Yeah,
Okay.
couldn't be any easier. It's
So-
right there on the screen.
Are we doing the whole thing or just that part?
You know what? We could really just do that part. So let's go to whatever that's. Oh, but we can't get into that.
I could do this.
It's short.
Yeah. You can sign up for a discovery conversation here on my website.
No, I understand, but then I have a jump cut.
Oh.
So I'd rather. Do you think you can just do it again from the top?
Yeah.
Let's just do it from the top. I mean, I could cut to another wide.
I can do it.
but
It's pretty easy.
That's sloppy. So.
Okay.
All right. So let's go again from the top in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And to all our light workers tuning in, if you felt your heartbeat faster during this conversation, you know, that little yes inside you, pay attention. It's only going to get louder. My mission is to elevate 100 light workers to $1 million impact. And if you're thinking, maybe I'm one of them, let's talk. You can sign up for a discovery conversation on my website, SOULO, solopreneur.com/discovery. And the link is right here, right below. I just want to thank Kimberly again for reminding us that our voice is the rocket fuel for our mission. She is such a gift, isn't she? And to everyone out there listening, you're a gift too. As she said, go shine. The world needs you. Namaste.